So one of the main obstacles when we're trying to create change is something called confirmation bias. And confirmation bias is the tendency for us to interpret new information to confirm the old belief system. For example, if you think that all guys are bad or all females are bad, then what you might do when you're communicating with someone, you might say certain things that might make them feel uncomfortable, that might make them react a certain way, because you're trying to push people to then confirm what you thought already about the situation. Something naturally that we do that because we want to be right. The other part is motivated reasoning. And this is where, again, we seek evidence. We search our memory bank so we can stack the deck in favor of our own belief system. And it really creates a trap, a cognitive trap to push us to continue to live a story, even if that story doesn't serve us. Because if you think that, you can't be successful in a certain way, if you think that relationships can't be a certain way, then they're not going to be, because that is a belief system you've created, and that's the belief system that's going to be driving what you seek. For example, part of that is that our brain has evolved and our reasoning is not designed to search for truth. Our evolution has been to help us win arguments, even arguments with ourselves. So that means that confirmation bias or motivated reasoning, which is what motivates us and drives us to find information and stuff like that, to seek that we're right about something, even if we're trying to prove ourselves wrong about something that we want, it argues with us to fit into the foundation we've already created. And that's part of the reticular activating system, that part of our brain that's very goal-orientated. So what it does is that it's constantly seeking information. So you only have about a few thousand bits of information that you can actually be aware of, while there's millions of bits of information going all around you. So the mind is constantly looking at what information is going to help me say that I'm right in what I'm doing. Because you can always find that you're right in something if you search hard enough, or if you neglect the evidence that goes counter to what would show that you're right. But the good news is that you don't have to be driven by this. Most people are, because they're living their life on automatic pilot and stuff like that, and they don't take the time to do certain things that might help them break outside of that mold. And we'll talk about that in a second. So Dr. Dweck and her colleagues were able to show that we can change certain belief systems and change that confirmation bias by creating situations that help us support our goals and motives. Meaning that once you start changing your goals to your new story, if you have big enough motivation, that you can actually shift your belief systems altogether. Which is kind of crazy if you think about it. Because, for example, they had individuals that had a specific belief system, whether intelligence is something that you're born with and that you can become more intelligent and stuff like that, or that intelligence is something that is just learned, that if you practice enough times, then you become smarter in specific topics or whatever it is. So what they did was that they gave a person a test, and whether they passed or failed, they told them that they failed. So the people that had said that you're just naturally intelligent and stuff like that, those people, when they asked them again after the test and they were told that they failed, they changed their mind. They all of a sudden started saying that no, intelligence is that you got to study and stuff like that. It's not that you can't develop intelligence, because it didn't serve them at the time. It's easier to change their belief system than tell themselves that they failed and that they can't succeed. Another aspect was that they did a study where they had parents and they asked them how they felt if people could change their history, certain patterns that they had in their past. So then they took the individuals that said that you can't change behaviors. That you can change behaviors and habits. And they told them that there was pedophiles that were being released in the community. So for the ones that the pedophiles were being released 200 miles away or more, all of them agreed that, yeah, people can change. But as soon as they told them that those people were moving into their neighborhood, then when they surveyed them again, they had a totally different perspective. They claimed that people cannot change. That people do not change. That once they have a pattern, they do not change. So what changed with that pedophile that was living 200 miles away and that pedophile that was in their neighborhood? The threat. So our emotional threat develops our bias, even physical threat. Because we are meant to protect ourselves. Our confirmation bias, our motivational reason thinks that it's protecting ourselves. So how do you minimize confirmation bias? How do you minimize those things that are going to not let you see what you need to see to create that new story? Well, first of all, is to seek information from a wide variety of sources. Meaning, don't just learn something and say, well, that sounds good. Look at the opposite view. Play devil's advocate. I love playing devil's advocate with myself and with other people because I like to think of a different perspective, different viewpoint. You can also seek other people's opinions. But when you do, try to surround yourself with a diverse group of people that have different opinions. Because if a bird flies together, blah, 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 birds of a feather flock together. So most people have people around them that help them confirm their own bias. Maybe spread who some of your friends are. Maybe they'll help you see a different view. So don't always seek to agree. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to look at some more information that's going to be counter to some of the things that you want to see. So, and I always do this when I have a perspective. I try to say, what other ways can I look at this? What other ways can I approach this? What would be the counter argument to this? Another part is to let your mind do some of the work for you. So instead of thinking you can't do something, well, I can't make a 6-figure income in a year, or I can't become a millionaire in a couple of years, ask yourself, how can I? How can I improve my relationship? How can I improve my communication? Not just our communication sucks and it's just that person and my person. When you say how to, you're telling your brain that there is a possibility that that can change. So a lot of times, even changing our biases has to come with our own questions. What questions are you asking yourself from those particular situations? So when you find something that you're like, no, this is what I know, ask yourself, is there anybody else living a different reality? And then search for it. I had to do this as I grew in several aspects of my life. When I had to change my relationship, I looked at people that were married for many years and lived happily and they were still madly in love after 40 years because it helped me see that maybe I was wrong about that. Maybe I was wrong that parents spank their kids because, that's what I've heard all my life. By the way, I've never spanked my daughter. But, I learned that and I thought that was reality when I realized at a younger age that wasn't reality for anyone. I actually learned that in psychology class when they asked it. Because I grew up in an environment where a lot of the kids around me got spanked, including me. And then, or I looked at what success was. A lot of people that were charging, for example, thousands of dollars for services, while some of the people around me were charging, 30 to 50 bucks. But their reality was very different. Their markets were very different because their belief systems were very different. And each of them confirmed their bias in their own way. So I had to reject my own bias so I can confirm what I wanted to. I let my brain do the exercising. I looked up, surrounded myself with people that would give me a different point of view of life. And I also did research to create doubt in my own biases so then I can move forward to creating the story I wanted. I hope that helps. Thank you.